Are you dreaming of a brand new home in Minnesota's lake country? Maybe you picture waking up in a dream custom cabin on the Gull Lake or Whitefish chain of lakes, or pulling into that freshly built neighborhood in Baxter. Well, in this video, we're going to be spilling all the details on new homes in the Brainerd Lakes area, the key build locations, the top builders and what they charge, lakefront versus off-lake trade-offs, pricing for entry level upwards to luxury, construction costs per square foot, how to finance a new build, the pros and cons of building versus buying, and if you're considering building a home on Gull Lake or anywhere in Brainerd Lakes area for that matter, stay tuned because you're going to want to hear this. If this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything about living in the Brainerd Lakes area, subscribe, tap the bell for notifications. That way you're going to be the first to know about the current market here in the Brainerd Lakes area. And we get calls, texts, emails all the time from people just like you looking to make their move to the Brainerd area. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 9 months, we would absolutely love to help you. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us a message, or set up a Zoom call. We'd love to help make it a smooth move to the Brainerd Lakes area for you. Now, let's start with the hot spots for new builds in the Brainerd Lakes area. So the city of Brainerd, of course, is one of the hot spots, one of the main spots, of course, being the largest town in the Lakes area. Within the city proper, Brainerd, new homes are popping up in neighborhoods like the Northtown Addition, just past Beaver Dam Road and Riverside Drive, and the Brainerd Oaks development on the east side of Brainerd. Those were previously platted lots that sat vacant for a long time, and now they're being filled with brand new houses. Northtown is looking more and more established every single day, and recent listings there for like 2 and 3 bedroom homes range from about $325,000 to $418,000. And then over in Brainerd Oaks, a new single family home, they've been listed around $275,000 and upwards of to about $365,000 for like a 3-bed, 2-bath style home, typically with a 2-car garage. So that means a lot of first-time buyers and younger families are finding affordable new construction right here in the city of Brainerd. Now, if you hop right next door over to Brainerd's neighbor, Baxter, you're going to find one of the busiest new build areas. Baxter is really friendly to those who, want convenience of proximity and location with shopping, restaurants, schools, and there's plenty of room to grow. In fact, a few years back, the city noted hundreds of vacant lots that were ready for houses, right? Fast forward to 2025, and we have new subdivisions that are taking shape. Notable Baxter neighborhoods that have been being developed or have been developed recently. Preserve Circle off of Foley Road. It's really a maintenance-free villa community with a shared park and a pond. And there's the Westwood Oaks, which is wooded lots west of White Sand Lake. And then there's the Jack Litch Estates, which are near Whipple Beach on Whipple Lake. So builders have been really busy in these areas, putting up one-level patio homes, or a lot of one-level patio homes, and also 2-story family homes. Prices in Baxter's new developments tend to run kind of in the $350,000 to $500,000 range for most of the homes, typically offering like a modern open layout of with a 3-stall garage usually, and plus city utilities, city water, city sewer, all of that. And Baxter's new builds are pretty popular with those who want brand new house, open layouts, I guess, and convenience of being near all the shopping, Target, Costco, Walmart, a lot of the restaurants, and being close to the highway. And then when you move north around the Gull Lake area, new construction becomes a bit more scattered. These are higher end lake country communities, so larger subdivisions are not really going to be the case. You get kind of what we maybe call infill building, kind of small developments, and then kind of infill lots that are being built up as kind of spec homes or custom homes even. One example of a development around Gull Lake would be around Cragun's Legacy courses, where there's new homes going up. And then in Lakeshore and in Nisswa, builders like Thomas Allen Homes have the Pine Trails development and some other smaller developments for single family homes just kind of nestled into the woods. Yeah, many of these are near Gull Lake or other lakes nearby, so offering kind of a blend of neighborhood feel with close access to water recreation. If you're building in Nisswa or Lakeshore in 2025, expect your neighbors to be a mix of full-time residents and retirees or maybe second home owners drawn to the lakes area, drawn to the lakes. Price points here start a bit higher, often in the $500,000 and up range, some below that, but mostly that's kind of figure right around 500,000 and up for new homes, especially as you get closer in proximity to Gull Lake. Okay, further north, communities like Pequot Lakes, Cross Lake, and around the Whitefish chain of lakes, new construction is largely custom homes rather than big developments. Cross Lake and Pequot have smaller neighborhoods and typically up north cabin developments. It's kind of what the look would be. Much of the new building is happening on privately owned lots. For example, someone buys a lot on the Whitefish chain, hires a builder, puts up a lake home, and that's done. There are also a few newer plats kind of in the woods off of the lake where you can build a home with a little bit more acreage. These areas are extremely popular for luxury lakefront builds. More on that coming up. And also some retirees looking to build one-level homes near golf courses. There are a lot of golf courses in the Brainerd Lakes area. So don't expect extensive cookie cutter type subdivisions here that you might see in a major metropolitan area where there's, 2, 3, 4, 500 homes. Close enough where you can, really borrow a cup of sugar from your neighbor without having to go out the house. Not going to find that here. And let's not forget the rural outskirts areas, a little further out, townships around Brainerd and Baxter, like Merrifield, Fort Ripley, or outwards towards like Pillager, or have seen new homes on acreage. Think 2, 3, 4, 5, and even like 10 acres, potentially more. But if you've got a few acres of land and an open lot in the country, local contractors are building everything from barn-dominiums to farm-style ramblers. These give you space and privacy and often a bit lower land costs if you're away from the lakes. Pricing for new builds on acreage can definitely range pretty widely based on size and quality, of course, but many fall in the kind of $400,000 to $700,000 range for pretty nice houses with land, excluding any huge horse farm type builds. Bottom line is you'll find new construction happening kind of all over the Brainerd Lakes area in 2025, from city lots in Brainerd and Baxter to lakeside plots on Gull and the Whitefish chain of lakes, and to quiet forests and open fields. So each area offering something unique, whether it's, obviously the city convenience, the lake views, wooded privacy. Now that you know where homes are going up, let's talk about who's building them and what it costs. All right, one of the first questions we hear is, which should I look at? How do I even start? Who is reputable? Who can I trust? Well, the Brainerd area has a mix of local builders, from volume home builders to high-end custom builders. So here are some of the most active and reputable builders. I know I'll miss some. There's a lot of actually really good builders that you can trust around here. Here's a good start to the list of who you might encounter, kind of some of the prices you might expect too, okay? So first on the list is Thomas Allen Homes, a well-known local builder focusing on single-family homes. They've been heavily involved in Brainerd's developments like the Meadows, Brainerd Oaks, Northtown. Their builds are typically a split level or a one-level design. That's typically single-family. Price-wise, they often have homes in the high 200s to mid 300s, potentially more. But for their standard model in town, for example, like a Thomas Allen 2-bed, 1-bath in Brainerd might run $275 to $325, while a 3-bed, 2-bath with a few upgrades could be in the $350 range. They give a pretty great bang for your buck and are pretty popular in new subdivisions for, kind of keeping things on a budget. Okay. And they generally consider themselves a semi-custom builder because you might have a few options like paint colors and stuff like that, but not a true custom build. All right, next on the list would be level contracting or Element Homes. Another kind of major player in Brainerd's new construction scene. They've built quite a few new homes locally, often marketed under Element Homes. They've had a pretty large share of building contracts in Brainerd recently, the last couple of years, especially in the Brainerd Oaks and Northtown developments. Levels homes include ramblers, multi-levels, and splits, many that are with an attached three-stall garage and open concept living. Their price points are going to be similar to Thomas Allen homes. In fact, the look, style, stuff like that, a lot of that is going to be pretty similar. Yeah, so generally in the mid 200s for a smaller unfinished basement model to maybe a 400,000 for a fully finished 4-bed home. In fact, right now they have a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,471 square foot home on Holton Avenue in Brainerd, listed at $299,900. So that's a brand new house, around $203 a square foot, which is pretty solid value for a brand new home. If you tour a level contracting home, expect modern finishes, but keeping things practical in order to hit those price points, okay? Next on the list, despite the name, Price Homes builds both custom and more of a spec home. They're very active in Baxter and the surrounding areas. Price Homes is pretty interesting because their portfolio for spans from entry level to high-end luxury homes. So on the affordable end, you have like twin home villas in Baxter starting around 279, 280 for a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,100 square foot townhome. That's probably more ideal for like a retiree or first timers looking for new construction, at a condo price, if you will. And then they offer single family homes as well. Homes like their Rockwood model in Baxter. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot, which was listed around 339,000 and it sold quick. Then you go all the way up to high-end custom builds. For example, Price Homes has new builds in Nisswa, such as the Cascade Plan, 3,900 square foot 4-bed home for 800,000, and then the Stella Plan, 3,500 square feet for 1.3 million. So those larger ones come with a 4-car garage, gourmet kitchens, and some nice wooded or lake adjacent lots that go with it. So few builders in the area cover such a broad spectrum. So Price Homes has become a one-stop option for many, whether you want a budget-friendly Baxter new build or a high-end retreat. If you're looking at building and not sure where to start, really, they're a pretty good option. But make sure you talk with your realtor first before you sign any contracts. All right, next up is, as we move towards luxury custom home builders, Barato Brothers. They're based out of Cross Lake and have been a premier custom builder in the Brainerd Lakes area since 2002. If you've ever driven by jaw-dropping log beam lake lodge or a $2 million modern mansion on Gull Lake, chances are Barato Brothers built it. They handle everything from design to the fine details. So if they've built and architecture as well, they've built homes ranging from starter custom homes to multi-million-dollar estates. So Barato Brothers style leans towards high craftsmanship. Think like custom timber work, huge lakeside windows, stone fireplaces, really no detail spared. So if you have a budget and want that ultimate Gull Lake dream home, builders like Barato Brothers are who you want to call, and expect costs at least $300 a square foot and higher, definitely a lot higher. Next we have West Hanson Builders. They're another custom builder, build a lot of the high-end custom lake homes, often very active on like the Whitefish chain and the Gull Lake area. They specialize in one-of-a-kind homes, and they're going to be very tailored, custom, build-to-suit style homes. And obviously the costs are going to be well above 500,000. You know, I mean, it's generally the multi-million-dollar custom homes are going to be West Hanson built homes. Okay, there's some other builders I want to mention, some quality builders around the area. Definitely honorable mentions. I would say B Dirt Construction. They're also a very good company, Brainerd-based design build firm, known for custom homes and even development like Sanctuary Path, where a $645,000 new home overlooks the Gull River. Norson Custom Builders has been a custom home builder here in the Lakes area for decades. Nowadays, they do a lot of commercial build as well, actually nationwide, actually now. So, but they're based here out of Brainerd. The Lakes Area Builders Association has dozens of builder members. So you have options from big companies to smaller crews who might build one or two custom homes a year. So you have a lot of options. So make sure you're going to want to get multiple bids. If you're on a tighter budget and timeline, one of the production or semi-custom builders, if you will, like Thomas Allen, Level Homes, Price Homes, could be a really good fit. And if you have a specific upscale vision or a unique lot or building situation, like a kind of complex topography or shoreline, one of the custom builders might be a better investment for you. All right, for 2025, spec homes and subdivision builders are generally delivering homes in the $300,000 to $500,000 range in Brainerd and Baxter, while the fully custom jobs built by the luxury builders are often 800,000 to 1 million plus. A lot of the custom homes on like the Gull Lake chain, the Whitefish chain, a lot of those are going to be 2 million and up. So it's a wide spectrum. The good news is pretty much no matter what your budget is, there's going to be a builder or a new home option in the Brainerd Lakes area for you. Now, the one big question, should you build on the lake or off the lake? So let's go ahead and dive into that decision. So you're torn between building your home on a beautiful lakefront lot or opting for something off the water, but maybe nearby. It's a huge decision in the Brainerd Lakes area. After all, this is lake country. So let's break down the availability, pricing, and lifestyle trade-offs of lakefront versus non-lakefront new construction. So there's nothing like having your very own private shoreline, morning coffee on the dock, sunset boat cruises from your backyard, really front yard, but whatever. And in 2025, lakefront construction is booming for those who can afford it. But it's important to know lake lots are scarce and expensive. Most prime lakes like Gull Lake, Pelican, the Whitefish chain of lakes are nearly fully built up. So finding a vacant lot can be challenging. Often people buy an old cabin, tear it down, build new on that site. Of course, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to build on that site after you tear down that cabin. Just because it was 10 feet away from the water doesn't mean you're going to be able to build there. So those are things you need to know and consider. If you've got to be 100 feet away from the high water mark, do you want to pay as much as you're going to need to be on the lake? Or would you rather just at that point just be off the lake but have access to the lake, right? So these costs can add up, demolition, utility upgrades, all that kind of stuff. So just got to make sure we know like how much it's actually going to cost you, right? The ticket price, there's usually more to it than just that. So, but waterfront homes on average are worth more than double their landlocked equivalents. Gull Lake chain and the Whitefish chain, we see a pretty broad spectrum of prices, but anywhere from like 3,000 upwards of even 11 or 12,000 front foot, meaning it's a 100-foot lot, and let's say it's worth 5,000 a front foot. You got a $500,000 lot right there, just for the land, not including septic system and well or water and all the utilities that come with that. You could even be upwards of $1 million just for the lot before you even have a house on it, right? For a mid-sized lake home, if you're looking at a luxury build of 250 to 400 plus per square foot at 3,000 square feet, you're looking at over $1 million for the building. So here we're at $2 to $2.5 million. Sure, they're turnkey and they look great, but what do you get for that premium? Lifestyle and long-term value, yes, Lakefront means your backyard or your front yard is playground, boating, fishing, swimming. But there's a lot of maintenance costs. You're going to pay more for property taxes because of the value of the property will generally be higher. You might need to invest in riprap or shoreline preservation and docks and lifts and water toys to manage and insurance cost differences. So there's a lot to consider. Versus building off the lake, you can be close to the lake, be close to a public access. You can check out past videos to learn about some more where the best access points are in the Brainerd Lakes area. So you can kind of look to be closer to one of those to get onto the lake to enjoy the lifestyle. But you can be similar type of home with maybe even some acreage and space for half the price. Plus, not even counting the difference in maintenance costs involved with having lakeshore. I mean, you're probably definitely less than half the cost, right? Those are factors you need to consider very seriously. We can help you kind of work through those decisions and see what is best for you. All right, now regardless of the location, let's talk about costs in more detail. So specifically, how much can you expect to pay for new construction in different price tiers per square foot? Not all homes carry eye-popping price tags, so let's break down price tiers for new construction in the Brainerd Lakes area as of 2025 so you know what your budget can get you. Entry level for a new house typically means the low to mid 300,000s, though there are a few options below that. These homes are often smaller, so like 1,100 to 1,600 square feet, or simpler designs, or there might be townhomes or twin homes. A prime example, those Baxter twin home villas by Price Homes at $279,900 for about 1,100 square feet. That's about as affordable as new construction gets. And it comes with 2 beds, 2 baths, and 2-car garage, attached garage. In Brainerd, entry-level single-family new builds like a basic 2-bed, 1-bath, split entry with an unfinished basement might be in the 250 to 300,000 range. And if you catch a smaller builder or a spec home on a modest lot, okay? So the Brainerd Oaks development had new homes under 300,000 occasionally. Keep in mind at these prices, the lot is, like I said, very small, and it's a city lot. And finishes are builder grade, carpet in most rooms, laminate countertops. But you do get a brand new warranty covered home, so that's a plus. Maintenance should be minimum. Just be aware that below 300,000, there might be very few choices. New construction costs continue to rise. So realistically, plan for mid to upper 300,000 as a starting point for a typical detached new home. Now, the mid-range new construction, this is the broad middle where the majority of the homes fall into. It's typically going to be roughly 350,000 to 600,000 in our market. In this bracket, you can get 3 to 4 bedroom home, maybe 2,000 square feet, and some nicer features. You can get, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,600 square foot Rambler and Pillager, which is just west of Baxter, listed around 439,000. That's a firm mid-range offering one-level living. A lot of one-level homes being built with a open floor plan and a decent lot. In Baxter, a typical mid-range build might be 4 bed, 3 bath, split entry with a finished basement and an attached 2-car garage, about 2,400 square feet for 450 to 500,000. And then you move up the scale, you might find like a 2,900 square foot 2-story in a newer Brainerd development for 720,000. Like a 2-bed main level living with a bonus space, a bit more custom on a larger lot. And then in a mid-range, builders often include upgrades like granite or quartz counters, stainless appliances, luxury vinyl plank flooring, perhaps a tiled master shower. You also might get a bigger garage once, as you go up in the price point too. So you're more likely to have a 3-stall versus a 2-stall garage. A key feature of mid-range new homes is they're usually in convenient locations. So think in Baxter, in Brainerd, near downtown Nisswa. So those are going to be those mid-range homes. Now we enter into the territory of The upper end new construction generally starts around 600,000 and above, goes up from there. In some cases, well into the millions of dollars for luxury lake homes. What do you get in this tier? Possibly custom architecture, possibly not just a cookie cutter plan, one that the builder does on repeat. So you'll see homes with 4, 5, 6 bedrooms, upscale amenities like a gourmet kitchen with commercial grade appliances, larger pantry, vaulted great room ceilings, floor to ceiling windows, pavers, stone retaining walls, and of course more prime locations like lakeshore, golf course adjacent, or a 10-acre or 20-acre private estate. Not all upper end are that high though. Around 700 to 800,000, you can build a very nice custom home off the lake. Around $1 million, you're usually looking at either a big lakefront property or a fully loaded large home, or both. We see over the top builds. So Price Homes had an East Gull Lake, their Kensington model, about $3.9 million, and it was 7,200 square feet, 6 beds, 8 baths, essentially a lake mansion. Those are a little bit more rare, but they set a high bar. In the luxury bracket, quality is definitely king. You'll find hardwood floors, custom cabinets, high-tech smart home systems, perhaps an indoor, outdoor kitchen, or a 4-season porch with a fireplace, custom design elements, reflecting the owner's taste, like either a wine cellar or maybe a home theater. Some of the just really lifestyle type amenities that are going to be custom built into the property. These typically are going to be 4,000 to 5,000 square feet or larger, and usually are typically going to take 12 plus months to build out. As we move along here, I want to discuss the cost per square foot, kind of what to expect. So as of 2025 in Minnesota, the average cost to build a house, like the hard construction cost, is roughly $150 to $250 per square foot. Now, that's a statewide general range, and it accounts for standard construction, not the ultra basic, but also not super high end either. So put that in context, if you build a 2,000 square foot home, the construction alone might be around $300,000 on the low end, and then up to $500,000 on the higher end of that typical range. Okay, that excludes the land cost and often things like landscaping or outbuildings. So if you have $40,000 city lot that you build on, maybe it has city water and sewer, but on the low end, you're at $300,000 for the build, $40,000 for the lot, $340,000. Hopefully that helps you kind of figure out what kind of those hard costs general costs that can kind of get you started. And we follow in the Brainerd Lakes area, we follow pretty closely the Minnesota trends. So I'm going to talk about the different tiers. So we have the low end cost per square foot. If you go with like a simple design, straightforward, rectangular, rambler, or split entry with a basic finishes, entry level homes effectively come out to maybe around 130 to 150 square feet at a minimum for build cost, and not counting the land. So these would be projects like a 1,200 square foot home with a standard roof line, vinyl siding, no fancy vaults or custom angles, and economy grade fixtures. Builders can achieve this through efficiencies of scale too. So a larger builder can generally help get some costs down too. Production builders and developments can sometimes hit these lower numbers. For example, the level contracting home at $299.9 for a almost 1,500 square foot home, where we mentioned is roughly $204 a square foot, including presumably the lot and builder profit. So the raw build cost is closer to 150 to 180 a square foot, indicating that they probably manage their costs pretty tightly for those projects. Now we've got the mid-range, kind of the typical mid-range for building, typically going to be around 175 to 225 a square foot. So a 2,000 square foot home might cost 350 to 450 to build. This range allows for a little bit more quality engineered hardwood or LVP floors, a little bit of custom tiling, the showers or quartz or granite counters, without going real overboard. So many of the homes you tour in like Baxter or Brainerd nearby, that's kind of what you can expect in that range. So a 3-bed, 2-bath, about 1,600 square foot home for about 440,000. So roughly $280 per square foot, including the land. That's about $230 per square foot build cost after you subtract the land value. So this aligns pretty well with that mid couple hundred foot range. So if you aim for 200 square foot, you can kind of figure that out. So yeah, the custom or luxury home, higher end costs is going to be 250 to 350 plus per square foot. So 2,000 square foot home, $350 a square foot, that's $700,000, typically not necessarily including the lot itself and any costs associated with that. An example would be the 3,045 square foot Cascade and Boathouse new build in Brainerd that sold at $1.99 million. Pencils out to be about $653 per square foot. However, that might include a boathouse and special features kind of driving that up. So not every luxury is that high, but you get the idea. Unique designs definitely mean a higher dollar per square foot, right? On the beginning end, $150 a square foot, upwards of $600, $700, $800 a square foot. I think one important note on interpreting the cost per square foot, it depends on what's included. Do you get a garage? That's usually not counted into the square foot calculation. Does it include decks or porches? Likely not. If a home has a huge garage, expensive deck, or finished basement, the simple division can mislead a little bit. So this is just kind of a starting point to kind of get you going in the right direction. In summary, you can expect around 150 to 250 per square foot for most builds, with simpler homes potentially a bit less, custom homes, luxury homes more. Someone comes to us in 2025 and says, hey, I want a 2,500 square foot home. We ballpark it around 400 to 600,000 to build. So depending on finishes and features, plus land. But always remember to add the cost of the lot and site work. So like the well and septic if rural, and any utility hookups, driveway paving, etc. That way you get the full picture. A good builder will help you crunch these numbers up front. All right, building a new home is a bit different than buying an existing one when it comes to financing, right? Instead of a straightforward mortgage, you'll likely encounter a construction loan. But don't worry, we'll explain it step by step. Construction loan is a short-term loan, typically 6 to 12 months, basically the length of the construction process. It funds the building of the house. It's essentially a line of credit that the builder draws from in different stages as they complete those steps along the way until the house is fully constructed, until you get that certificate of occupancy. Many construction loans are structured as an interest only during construction, meaning you're only paying the interest that on the amounts dispersed until the home construction is complete, not a full mortgage payment yet. Once the home is completed, the construction loan is either paid off by converting it into a standard mortgage, often called construction to permanent financing, or by refinancing into a separate mortgage. Traditionally, construction loans have required a larger down payment than a regular home purchase. Pretty typical for lenders to require 20% down or more on a construction loan. This means if your total project, land and build, etc., is $500,000, you need $100,000 cash in the deal. The rationale is that the new construction carries a bit more risk, and the lender, wants to have that substantial equity, so you're motivated to see the project all the way through. However, the good news is that there are some lenders who do offer low down payment construction loans. Those who might offer construction loans with a 10% down, 90% financing for loans up to the conforming limits. And even more impressive is a regional bank that has a 5% down construction loan program. That's pretty crazy, 5%. That can really help buyers who have really good credit, but they don't necessarily have a huge pile of cash, okay? So these programs have some requirements. You might need a higher credit score, like 680 plus for the 10% down option. And the loan amount might be capped, so the 5% down still keeps you within certain limits. the takeaways, make sure you shop around for construction lenders. We have local banks and credit unions in the Brainerd Lakes area that specialize in these types of loans and can guide you through all of the different options. But to be safe in planning, assume you need about 10 to 20% down, and anything less will be a bonus if you qualify, okay? Now let's discuss the one-time close versus a two-time close. You'll hear these terms: a one-time close means that you get one loan that covers the construction, and then automatically it converts to a permanent mortgage when you're done. So you close, sign all the papers just one time up front. This can help you lock in the interest rates from the start and save a little bit on closing costs. A two-time close means you have a separate construction loan, and when the house is done, you have to refinance to get a new mortgage to pay it off. So two closings. The advantage of the two-time close might be flexibility to shop around for the final mortgage, but you take the risk of rates changing. In 2025, with interest rates having risen, many people like one-time closes to lock in their rate early. Some lenders have promotions for construction loans where they lock a rate, let's say example, around 8.5% during construction, then a fixed 30-year rate upon completion. So rates for construction loans typically are a bit higher than a standard mortgage, often a point or two above the typical 30-year mortgage rate, since it's short term and more risk that goes along with it. So don't be shocked if your construction loan interest is quoted to you as around 7 to 9% APR in today's environment. Remember, you're only paying it for a few months. All right, when you have a construction loan, you usually don't get a lump sum. Instead, you get funds released over time in stages called draws, construction draws. For example, a common draw might be an initial draw for excavation and foundation, then a framing draw, a mechanicals draw for like plumbing, HVAC, electrical, all the rough-ins, a drywall, exterior finish draw, and then a final completion draw. The bank may send an inspector or an appraiser to verify that work is done before releasing the next draw. Obviously, that's protecting the bank, but it really also protects you as well. So you as the borrower typically have to sign off on each draw as well. During this time, you pay interest only on the money drawn so far. So early on, when only say $50,000 has been spent on the foundation, you're only paying interest on $50,000. That's not too bad. By the end, when say 450,000 has been drawn, you do pay interest on the 450,000, but this stair steps up. Keep this in mind when you're budgeting. You'll be carrying the cost of interest, like paying rent during construction on a $400,000 average balance at around 8% APR. That's about $2,600 in interest per quarter, just as an example. So over a 9-month build, maybe $7,000 to $8,000 in total interest paid. If you're selling a current home or something, you might have some overlapping mortgage rent for a little while. All right, some construction loan tips. So talk to a lender before you sign a building contract or purchase a lot. They will evaluate the total project cost, down payment, ensure you can qualify for what you're planning on. They'll also often need to appraise the future home's value based on plans and specs. Pro tip, banks usually lend based off of the lesser of cost or appraised value. So in a hot market, appraisals usually come in fine, but if you're spending well above what nearby homes are selling for, be cautious. An appraisal shortfall could require more cash. Right now, I would lean more towards the latter, okay? It's wise to have a contingency, often 5 to 10% of the build cost for unexpected coverages or overages, excuse me. Lenders may require a built-in contingency into the loan because of this, right? If you don't use it, bonus, right? But, if you need it and you've got it, then you'll be thankful that you do, right? Now, in regards to interest rates, if you opt for a one-time close, ask about the rate lock options. Some lenders can lock a rate up to 12 months while you build, sometimes for a fee or a higher rate. Given interest rates being a little more volatile, lately, you can see how that could protect you, okay? If rates drop by completion time, some programs even allow a float down to a lower rate. Okay. Now, if you have a house to sell, timing is definitely key. Many people can't carry two mortgages at once, understandably, so they sell their existing home and then short term while building. There's certainly a lot of options like that around here. So there are also bridge loans or HELOCs you could use for a down payment if your equity is tied up until you sell. All right, one more in regards to builder financing. In some cases, if you're buying from a builder who's putting up spec homes, you might not need a construction loan at all. For example, builder constructs the home using their financing. Just be careful, read the fine print. Again, you want to make sure you have a realtor who's looking out for your best interests. Oh, hey, that's me. Not a lot of builders around here have builder financing, so I would tend to lean towards having a third party, a lender involved with the lending, not the builder themselves. So, all right, so timeline, expectations for a new build. Typically, kind of expect about 6 to 8 months. Okay, for a larger custom project, 8 to 12 months is pretty common. Of course, there's a lot of variables along the way, but yeah, I would say anywhere from 6 to 12 months. If you're considering building, start looking into the option sooner rather than later. That's why it's helpful to shop around and discuss with multiple builders so find out what their timelines are and how soon they can get you on the books. Okay. All right. Whew. We have covered a lot of ground. Locations, builders, costs, financing. To wrap up, let's weigh the pros and cons of building new versus buying an existing home, since that's the ultimate debate that many buyers have. So let's get into it. All right, do you take the plunge on building your dream home from scratch, or do you hunt for an existing home and save some of the hassle? Well, here's straight from the trenches to look at the pros and cons of each route, right? And I'll be a little biased. I lean towards buying existing, just because oftentimes building a new home is in some ways similar to buying a brand new car. Everyone knows you buy a brand new car, pull it off the lot, and you lose a bunch of value right away. It's not wrong to buy a brand new car, because if that's what you need, that's what you're looking for, that's what you want, then that's the right thing for you, right? If what you want doesn't seem to exist on the market, and maybe you just don't want the maintenance of an older house, there's a lot of reasons to choose new construction, even knowing that it does cost more for the same house existing versus the same house new. The existing home is going to be cheaper than the new home. Okay. So a new home, you get customization, design it the way you want, unless it's a entry-level home, then it's not necessarily the case either. Then you get more modern amenities and efficiency. You're going to get all of those versus 100-year-old home with you can feel the wind coming through the house, lower utility bills, all of that, better wired technology, all that kind of stuff. And a new build, you get warranty, peace of mind comes with that, and then just the potential for equity gain and a rising market. Having a fairly new home, if you go to sell in a few years, it should generally be still in great condition. And you shouldn't have to worry so much compared to an existing home that might be 50, 60 years old that just constantly has, maintenance, because it likely has deferred maintenance of in one area of the house or the other, right? Cons of building new construction, the time it takes and the patience. I mean, it's a long process, 6 to 12 months. Wait, and then just the anticipation of it all, the stress of decisions. Some people find it to be fun. Others find it overwhelming. Can feel like there's a million decisions to make, from big ones to layout changes and all that, colors and styles and everything else that comes with that. Analysis paralysis is definitely real. Even with the builder guiding you, it can be a lot sometimes. Then location limitations, right? If you want to be in a specific established neighborhood or close to a certain school, there may be very limited or no lots available. Might have to be built further out from where you might want to actually be. Now, the pros of buying an existing home, you move in a lot quicker, 30 to 60 days, and you're living in your new to you house, right? You can take time to do it, make updates and upgrades how you how you would like to, right? You think of it as buying an existing home as a previously owned spec home, right? The design, everything's already been chosen for you, but now it's cheaper. You can more easily justify making updates and changes right away versus if you buy a brand new house, kind of feels like a waste of money to make changes and updates to a brand new build, right? So that's a practical way of looking at it, right? I like to keep it positive here, okay? Generally, when you buy an existing home, you can often buy into an established neighborhood with character. You think of, I guess, one of my favorite neighborhoods would be the North Brainerd neighborhood. You've got these beautifully historic, architecturally beautiful homes that are 100+ years old with tree-lined streets and just a lot of maturity to the neighborhood. The neighborhood's been around for over 100 years and it's been beautiful ever since. So that 20 years from now, it probably still will be. And then another one would be, just the potentially better price per square foot. You often get more house for the money. For example, a $350,000 might buy you a well-kept 4-bed, 3-bath, 2005 built home with 3,000 square feet versus a brand new 2025 home at $350,000 that might only be 1,600 square feet with unfinished basement. So your dollar can stretch more to more space, a better location, and even oftentimes some better quality, like granite counters and all, just real hardwood floors, that kind of stuff. Okay. And then what you see is what you get. There's a comfort in knowing exactly how the house lives. You can walk through it, test out the shower pressure, see the views from each window. It's already there for you to look at. You're not wondering, trying to figure out, trying to get into the home before it's built and kind of get a good feel for it. All right, cons of buying an existing home, because we all know there are, right? You compromise on some of your preferences probably. It's unlikely to find an existing home that checks every box. So there's just that reality, you're not going to find every single thing. Generally, we would say if it checks most of your boxes, that's probably a good find. Age and maintenance, an older home, maybe 10-year-old home might not have as much, maintenance, but roofs 15 years or older. I mean, typical shingles last maybe 30 years. So if it's 30 years old or older, hopefully it's either the roof has been replaced recently or, that's just one thing out of many. One good thing is that, really old houses, they've for sure settled. And so, if there is foundation issues or not, if there's not yet, there probably won't be. Versus a new house, you theoretically could have a foundation issue in 5 years. And even though everything looks fine when you do your final walkthrough, okay? But pre-existing home definitely has more maintenance and more upkeep, okay? Then obviously energy inefficiency, depending on how old the existing house is, it could be pretty drafty. Your energy costs can be pretty expensive. So that's something you really got to keep in mind. But it's likely that you may have higher energy expenses, but the cost of the home is less, right? So in some ways it's a wash. It's just a matter of preferences, right? All right. In summary, building new gives you the house of your dreams with new everything, right? But it requires patience, likely higher costs, and very active involvement. Buying existing is quicker, possibly cheaper, more than likely cheaper, but you may also have to settle on some features and handle some more upkeep and maintenance. In the Brainerd Lakes area, we see clients happy in both paths. Some love they built exactly the lake home that they wanted. Others are thrilled that they bought a charming existing home without the wait. It really comes down to your personal priorities and preferences and your situation. So if you have a very specific vision or can't find what you want in the market, building is definitely a great opportunity, a great option, and kind of fun to watch your home rise from nothing to finished and complete. In the Brainerd Lakes area, we see both options. A lot of great existing homes. One thing's for sure, the Brainerd Lakes area is definitely an awesome place to call home. And whether it's a century-old cabin or a brand new build, there's a lot of great options. Okay, what makes the Brainerd Lakes area great is obviously the outdoors and nature, plus the communities that make it so wonderful. This process might differ, but at the end of the day, you get to enjoy the lakes, the woods, and all the community that's here. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into new construction homes in the Brainerd Lakes area, the pros, the cons, and the costs of 2025. I hope that cleared things up a little bit. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. Make sure you get all the latest market info, all the updates of what's going on in the Brainerd Lakes area. If you're thinking of making a move or have questions, reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, schedule a Zoom call. All that info is in the description box below. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to make your move to the Brainerd Lakes area as smooth as possible. And until next time, happy house hunting, or should I say happy building, and we'll see you around the lakes area.